You're listening to the RM Podcast, the official podcast of Red Moon Productions. Here are your hosts, Brandon Davidson, Keith Cheatham, and Sean Sebastian. Enjoy.
Hello and welcome to another episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Aaron, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
Whoa.
I got completely lost with that different last name.
What? And? What did I say?
Why do you lie to people?
This is just terrible. Well, we have a better, more important guest this week that we want to bring everybody's attention to. If we can get the studio lights on. I have no idea where she's at. Oh, there she is. She's rolling around on the floor.
Give her name.
We got the wide shot. We've got a special, very special guest joining us this week. She is definitely new to the Red Moon crew, and we're just hoping that she'll just make herself right at home.
I saw her kind of just
She already kind of has.
run by there a little.
Come
in the
here.
corner.
Her name is Edith
Full
Von
name.
Velma Bishop Peebles Davidson.
There we
That
go.
is right. Miss Edith Von Velma Bishop Peebles Davidson. She's just chilling over there. I could maybe try to show her on my camera. I don't even know if I can. I can't. I can't get the camera that low. She's going to make her way over here soon. Come here. Come here. Here she goes. Oh, there she goes. Let's see. I'm going to get a one shot of me here. I'm going to try to pick her up. I don't want to disturb her too much. She'll be quiet throughout most of the
Eddie.
show. This is
Eddie.
This is Edie. This is Edie. Oh, look at the Red Moon Pup. Here she is. Here's the Red Moon Pup. This is the newest member to our team. She'll be joining us as long as she's good in the studio each week. If she starts chewing wires and we lose sound or audio visual, well, she will have to go in her crate.
Oh.
She will. Yeah. All right. You want down, don't you?
She's like, I'm tired of this.
She's
crap.
not. She's not enjoying this.
She's
I
not a show.
I just
dog.
want her to be happy. Oh,
There you go. Just knock everything.
she's
off.
already. She's already on a ramp. Oh, now she's down there. Oh, she's just laying down now. She just wants to rest.
It's a good Eddie.
Yes, that is right. I embarked on a new venture this week, guys.
Embarked?
Yeah.
Oh, man.
I did. It's something new. You all both have
Dogs
your
aren't
own
new,
pups
Brandon. They've been around for thousands of years.
since like the Dark Ages.
Yeah.
Okay, Anglo-Saxon period.
Maybe.
Oh,
Viking.
tie-in.
Viking.
Don't chew on that. All right, she is now trying to chew on some coax cable. We can't allow
You
that.
say the word, and I'll dig.
That's
That's the best line from
Sounded
the movie.
a lot like it.
They did. That
Yeah.
sounded really good.
Yeah.
But no, it's like you all both have some pets of your own. Sean, you got two.
Yeah.
Golden Retriever and a German Shepherd.
Yeah.
And then Keith, you've got two.
Yeah.
Ellie, which is a pug.
Yeah.
And then, oh gosh, excuse me, a pit bull.
Yeah. Luke.
Luke.
Yeah.
He's a pit bull mix, right?
No, he's pit bull.
He's just straight pit bull?
Yeah.
He's got a long body for a pit bull. A
Yeah,
little short and stout.
he is.
Tip me over and pull me out. All right. No, I just thought, I needed a companion in my life, and I found one.
There you go.
I'm not giving up.
Nothing to him, apparently.
No, you don't. You do hardly anything for me anymore.
Bad dog.
I'm tired of giving all the time. You always take, but you never give.
That's a lie. And everybody on this show knows it. They know I give to you all the time, and you take.
God.
You never left me with nothing but scraps.
Wow. Well,
I know.
That's an Oscar-winning performance.
This episode
right
is
there.
just getting off to a great start.
you don't, you only give trash to trash.
Wow.
Oh.
Wow. That was low, even for you.
below the belt.
For somebody who I would call my brother.
Mm.
Welcome to the Red Moon Podcast. This is where we get down and dirty with movies every single week.
Every single week.
Got some great headlines, lots.
We do.
To get
We got
to.
some
We
interesting
really
things
do.
happening. We have a great review.
We got a great pet in the room now. She's going to be joining us, like I said.
Little
hopefully.
Eddie.
Little Edie.
Edie.
We're calling her Edie for short. I just want when she gets older and I yell at her and like, Edith, get over here. You know, stop chewing on that. Stop. So she's trying to chew on. I don't know what that cable will do. So that's not good.
Nah.
She normally isn't going to be in here.
She'll learn.
She'll be off limits to this room unless
she
we're
gets
in here.
shocked for once. She'll learn.
True.
Yeah.
But,
Takes
you know,
once.
that's not what I'm going to do.
Oh.
Okay?
Oh.
Did
Wow.
you see that working?
Traditional Jurassic Park. You know, we got to have it every
We got
show.
to have it every
Yeah.
show.
Every show.
But no, we've got a great show. We've got tons of trailers to analyze from the big game. I don't know if
Do
we're
we-
legally media,
Do
so can we
really
can we-
have tons?
There was a few. There were a
Exactly.
few notable ones.
There was
ones
a
to talk
few.
about.
That's it.
yeah.
Meh.
the whole. I mean, granted, I understand it's. I can only give them the benefit of the doubt to an extent because of COVID, because I know they try to say, well, you only have so much to work with because of it's like, yeah, but the Super Bowl's been going downhill for years now. So.
Yeah, true. And honestly, I have not seen any report, and maybe that's because they want to hide it. I've not seen any report on the numbers
I haven't
Yeah,
either.
yeah.
of what
Which is
the
kind
which
of like who watched?
And
It's
it-
lower
well,
every year.
it's lower
but
every
this year
year.
they'll have COVID as an excuse.
well,
yeah,
but and that's the weird thing is you would think
COVID
that would
doesn't
be a
stop
people
major
would be home.
watching it.
Yeah.
Yeah. more
well,
people
that would be a
home to
major
watch.
reason to watch
Yeah.
it. You know, I want to see what this is like. There's nobody in the stands. You have more people watching from home, but
It wasn't a particularly like I didn't like. I have seen the trailers. I have seen it in the ads. I kind of kept it running on my iPad and did other things because it wasn't a particularly good game.
very woke.
The ads weren't. Yeah,
Super Bowl.
it was woke. The game itself wasn't that great. I mean, it was a
bowl.
blowout.
Bowl.
As much as
I must have missed a lot of that.
my throat's going to swell up a little bit from the allergic reaction having to say this,
Oh,
but I
God.
have to admit, as much as I've always hated him, Tom Brady is the GOAT.
Oh,
I mean,
you were gonna go there. I didn't even think we were gonna have to talk about that because he has nothing to do with movies.
I know, but I'm just saying the game
Yeah.
itself was a blowout, so it wasn't.
Although
that
just
fun.
this in, they
ads
stopped
were
the Game
boring.
Stonks movie. They're now making a Tom Brady GOAT movie.
Yeah.
Oh.
yeah.
And it's a GOAT starring
Tom
Tom Brady.
Brady.
as the voice. It's
Yeah.
animated from DreamWorks.
It's gonna be great.
Coming out on Netflix later this year. Can
Yeah.
you believe it?
Yep,
You're
absolutely.
lying, right?
Am
lying.
I?
Is he?
Or does the GOAT befriend a lion?
Oh.
Tune in this fall
Wow.
for the DreamWorks exclusive Tom Brady GOAT movie.
But the only thing that the Super Bowl really had were I guess some of the trailers that we're going to talk about, and that was really it for me. Like, it
Yeah,
just-
I mean,
yeah.
Oh, come on. The weekend, guys.
yeah,
the weekend.
I'm looking forward to this weekend, and that's all I can say.
the
about
only
that.
reason that I knew who that actually was because of Uncut Gems.
Oh yeah.
Oh, because he's in the.
Because
Yeah,
he's in
that's
that
right.
movie.
He is in.
Here's
that,
the thing. I don't mind the weekend. Like some of his songs are okay.
I love
but
the weekend. Saturday,
Yeah,
Sunday.
But
Hell
the,
yeah.
but the halftime show was garbage. It was all garbage.
Yeah,
the
it
whole
was.
thing was.
I thought it was
garbage.
satanic. I had to go drink holy water.
I
Satanic.
I thought it just seemed everybody was dressed in red. Yeah, these weird people with masks and red eyeballs glowing, and they were all chanting.
They were all
It was
having, like,
satanic. It was a séance or whatever.
It's just
No.
like that's how
That
LA
was
used
his
to be.
thing. He was
creepy.
doing this
Everybody
whole
was getting
thing about-
plastic surgery.
Well, that's the thing. Yeah, that was his whole commentary on he's been doing it for the show for a couple months now, where he had prosthetics on his
Yeah.
face, he had bandages, and it was supposed to be
He
a
was
commentary
supposed
on
to be-
Hollywood and plastic surgery.
I
it
just,
didn't
the
come
music,
across very well.
yeah, the
in
music disconnected me from any message that. he
All I
was
know
trying
is
to
that the
deliver,
Hall
so.
of the Hall of Mirrors or whatever it was. I was just like, dude, okay, 2 seconds in, I got the point. I didn't need. It was
Yeah.
a rolling dervish.
Yeah,
I
well,
was
that's
about
why
to
there's
blow
now
chunks.
memes about. That's
Yeah.
one thing we can rely on halftime shows is last year we had the Shakira tongue meme, and now we have the Hall of Mirrors.
I think I
meme.
read one that was just like this. Just seemed like a giant TikTok video.
Yeah,
and that's kind of what it was
Yeah.
like.
Yeah.
I mean,
Yeah. It was-
well, what's in nowadays?
it's very.
So
kinda
yeah, we got a
pathetic
little bit to
Super
talk about
Bowl.
there in the headlines, but we've got some, Sundance
Yeah.
hitting it big virtually,
Yeah.
and then you've also got the continual Armie Hammer saga,
Yeah,
which is just bizarre.
It is.
We've not brought it up on the show before, and that's why I'm tapping
it's
into
been an
it. It's
ongoing
ongoing,
thing, but it's kind of hitting
Yeah.
a climax now. So I guess
Yeah.
it is a good time. I think
so
to
we're going to
about it
talk
now.
about that, dive into that a little bit, but of course, as we do, we've got our Vices segment too.
Oh, great.
Talking about some cigars, going back to the finer things of
Are
life.
we?
Real vices,
Mm.
cigars,
I like it. I like it.
bourbon. Can't wait to get there. It's going to be good. So tune in for that a little bit later in the show. But right now we've got our review like we do every week off the top of the show. And we've already alluded to it a little bit. Do either one of you all want to tell us what we're about to witness, the fine film?
Fine film? I mean,
That was fine,
Ralph
yeah.
Fiennes was in it.
Oh, there you go.
Not
But-
Ralph. Rafe.
Rafe?
It's
Ralph.
spelled Ralph, but it's Rafe.
Rafe
Fiennes.
Fiennes?
Yep.
Really?
Yep.
Wow.
You've been saying it wrong your
my
whole life.
mind has just been blown.
It is spelled Ralph, but it is pronounced Rafe.
So I can read, I just can't speak.
Yeah.
Okay.
Here is
Or
our
good.
review of the movie on Netflix. You can all watch it if you have a subscription. You may not want to after this. We'll see. Here is our review of The Dig.
History is rife with those whose accomplishments were credited to someone else. And while in many instances we may never know who discovered what, or who came up with what world-altering invention, sometimes history does pan out. And those who truly deserve to be recognized are remembered, even if it's not until several years later. So it was the case with archaeologist Basil Brown, who first excavated the famous and historic Anglo-Saxon burial ground in Sutton Hoo. Netflix's latest film, The Dig, tells his story. Starring Ralph Fiennes as Basil Brown, The Dig, directed by Simon Stone, centers around Basil and Edith Pretty, played by Carey Mulligan, the owner of the Sutton Hoo estate in Suffolk, England. Having originally bought the estate with her late husband with the intent of excavating the burial mounds located on the land, Edith had instead sought to enlist the help of the Ipswich Museum after her husband's passing. With the museum busy at another excavation, they suggested self-taught excavator Basil Brown, who had assisted at their current dig. When Basil uncovers evidence of an Anglo-Saxon ship marking the burial of someone of significance and proving the site to be of massive historic importance, the dig is taken over by Cambridge archaeologist Charles Phillips, with Brown left fighting for recognition of considerable involvement. The Dig is a gorgeous film, and done right in nearly every technical aspect of filmmaking. With gorgeous English countryside set pieces highlighted by smart and creative cinematography, the movie is mesmerizing to watch. The film's soundtrack, while simple, is pretty in its subtlety, complementing the very same English countryside set pieces. The entire cast gives solid performances, with Ralph Fiennes and Carey Mulligan bringing life to Basil and Edith's story. All of this makes for a film that lacks only one thing: a more compelling story. The Dig is not a bad film by any means, and it's worth watching for its technical accomplishments alone. But the story of Basil Brown, while important, isn't one that lends itself easily to film. Being a fairly straightforward, fictionalized telling of the Sutton Hoo excavation, there's not a lot of major drama or character-driven emotion. I enjoyed the film for what it was and was fascinated by the film's history, but was fascinated more by looking into the Sutton Hoo history on my own. The film worked well enough to make me want to learn more, but not well enough to make me ever want to watch it again. I give The Dig 3 out of 4 stars.
3 out of 4 stars
Yeah.
for The Dig.
See, that's not bad. That's you kind of
It's
like,
not.
well, you might not like it
Well,
after
I
this.
feel like the
but
reason why I kind of did that
It's just
is
a dull or...
throw people off.
Yeah,
Yeah.
because we always end up like kind of giving away a little bit of what our feelings are before the review, and I was like, you know what, this time
It's a fine movie.
I'm gonna
It's
throw them off
just-
the
yeah.
other way.
It's not one I'm ever going to watch again because
No.
it's not like
Which is unusual for a 3-star movie. It's
Right.
kinda like usually that's something you want to watch again.
I'd say 3.5 or 4 for me. It's something that like I'm
Well,
going to watch on repeated
I think
viewings.
I think this is a perfect example of we've brought this up before with like a good 2.5 star versus a good 3.5 or 3. I would say
Yeah.
3.
Yeah.
Because we've had movies on here before where we have a solid 2.5, and we're like, it's a good movie. Like I would watch it again. This is a good movie.
It's well made. It's just the
it's
story.
not worth watching
The
again.
nature of the story is one that like that stuff fascinates me. So I'm glad I watched it once. Like the whole archaeology and discovering like the Anglo-Saxon burial ground and all that. That's fascinating. But they didn't do much to really hold your attention as far as like the character development, the emotion between the characters. Like they had moments between Ralph Fiennes and Carey Mulligan's characters where they would like have just sit down, just them talking. And I was expecting like, okay, they're going to connect or we're going to get a bigger emotional moment. And it never
Yeah.
really came. Like
No.
they had like their relationship. The halfway through the movie when Lily James and his character and her cousin Rory, Carey Mulligan's cousin Rory, not
Yeah.
her,
Yeah.
when they start getting involved, and like I'm like, this is fine, but we're
It's a
halfway.
little
we
too
just
late.
It's an hour
yeah,
into the movie.
Yeah,
Yeah,
it's
yeah.
an hour into the
A
movie.
little
We just
too
met
late.
these
Who are these
characters.
people?
Like
Yeah.
I don't care, and
Right.
even like her son, like kind of looking up to Basil as a father figure after like his father has passed on. Like all that stuff could have hit really good emotional points, but it was just kind of just given to you straightforward. Like, okay, this is what it is, and this is what happened. And I'm like, I wanted more.
Well, I think this movie too. Me and my wife both watched this, and I had to show her the trailer before she was like on board with staying up and watching it with me. But the trailer made this movie out to coming from somebody who I didn't know what it was about, didn't know the history, the true story, nothing like that. The trailer makes it out to be a completely different movie than what I saw. The trailer does allude to Ray Fiennes and Carey Mulligan being a love interest and getting together, and especially when it uses the line of him saying, like, I've been on all these digs. I'm paraphrasing, and he's like, I never found anything of real meaning until now. And I'm thinking he's talking to her, because they show that in the trailer. Right. But
double play on words,
that's a line that's used very early on in the movie, which most of the trailer lines, the big lines, were right at the beginning of the movie, and not in any part of a climactic part of the movie or anything like that. So I went into it thinking that it was going to be this love story that it never ended up being. And then it introduces a love story halfway through the movie that,
kind of,
like you said, I didn't have any connection to that or interest in that at all. Nor did I have any interest in the young man going off to war. And all of I'm just like,
and I think honestly, your review truly at the very end, to me, the best phrase that sums it up perfectly is just that last sentence you use, which is, it's a movie that made me want to investigate more in what actually happened. But it was not interesting enough to make me want to watch it again. So it was enough to pique my interest into, because that was my issue. Was I would have preferred I didn't mind the relationship with Lily James and Rory. I just thought, again, it was introduced too late in the film, and I thought it took too much time away from the focus, which they didn't spend enough time on building the relationship between Carey Mulligan and Ray Fiennes. And so for me, it was kind of this weird issue of like, I was like you, Sean, I wanted to see more of that relationship build. And I loved the actual instance of like his wife coming into the picture and you not really knowing that's even going to be.
That she's even there.
Right. And then at the same time, it throws you off, but it threw me off so much. I thought it was like his mom or his sister.
Well, I thought,
I didn't even think it was.
We both thought that was his sister, because I'm like, well, how's he going to end up with Carey Mulligan's character
if she's in the picture?
So we were agreeing. Well, they didn't even act like husband and wife when they first introduced her,
and which kind of makes the point of the film. But it was like there
wasn't
enough
tension. They were
going
to do like this love triangle thing, but they didn't do that either.
No.
It was just literally like,
it was like a scene and it was over. And that kind of wasn't enough to build tension and have it resolve. And then again, it was like in the midst of all the social drama, which didn't play out too intriguingly well. Then there was the kind of, it was the issue with like the actual dig itself not being the focus. Like I kept wanting there to be this point of explaining why this was so important. And I know they, maybe for English history, and just, I know they make it into like history in terms of the world. And there's the one line where he's like, the Dark Ages aren't so dark anymore. Like maybe this is the first big discovery.
It was one of the hugest. That actually they learned a lot about the Anglo-Saxons from that dig. It was very huge, and it was a massive discovery. But I feel like you're right. The movie doesn't really showcase how important this discovery was.
Yeah, there were just so many loose ends that were brought into the picture and kind of, they were tied up, but not tied up neatly in a bow. It was just enough to be like, all right, you wrapped everything up, but I wanted a more heart-wrenching, I wanted my heart to be in the story.
Absolutely.
Well, I didn't even feel like there was a big enough conflict in the movie. Like every story's got to have conflict, and I felt like, okay, the war is coming, the Germans are coming, they're going to destroy this, they're going to never see that happen, never even.
You just see the planes fly over.
You see planes fly over every now and then.
I think the biggest conflict is supposed to be it being taken away from him not getting credit, but they didn't play that up very well either.
No, it just kind of gets thrown in there
they
like
show
all the other ones.
Give him full credit in front of an audience of people, and then at the end of the movie they show you text that just says he never got credit for that, and it's like
he does now, but
he does now, but
how come he didn't then when they just showed it clearly?
I mean,
that he
30 or
was,
40 people just saw her and heard her say that he had credit. You would have thought when they opened the museum and started showing this stuff that people in the town would have been like, no, wait, I was there. She said he's the one who found it.
Right.
Like, and there was no dispute of that. So I just felt like that even that conflict kind of fell short.
Yeah.
But
no.
one thing our friend Brian was saying, he wished they would have depicted some scene of what the ship might have looked like back in the day. And they did do that, because there's a scene where he goes down to the riverbank and sits down, and he sees a ship, and the first time he looks at the ship, it is the Anglo-Saxon ship in his imagination. And then he takes a second glance at the ship, and it's just a bunch of people on a sailboat. So they did give you this one little glance of what a ship might have looked like rolling up the river there. And then when he looks at it again and waves at the guy steering the boat, it's just a normal day sailor or whatever. So they did try to do that, but I understand what he's saying. Yeah, it doesn't really even connect you to the history without...
One thing that you had even talked about, kind of, which made sense after we discussed it, after the film, was that, and they don't really explain it very well, they're not actually digging up the ship, because they're more so digging up like the imprint of where the ship was. It's kind of dissolved.
The ship is dissolved.
It dissolved
he says
into the
it's
earth.
just sand,
Right.
basically.
And so it's like, it's
like a footprint.
I didn't get that connection until after we discussed
what
it.
they were hoping to find
sense.
was the leftover remains of a treasure, because if they buried someone of high importance, then they buried their treasure with them.
Right.
So that's what and I think when you look it up online, it tells you the name of the person that they think was buried there.
The tomb is
like
in that ship.
some type of Anglo-Saxon royalty.
Right.
And, they did uncover all kinds of like armor and weaponry and jewels and treasure, because they did the Anglo-Saxons and then the Vikings after, because that was the big thing, is that at that point they had known a lot about Vikings and had discovered a lot of that stuff.
They were barbaric,
but they had never really found things about the Anglo-Saxons which preceded the Vikings until then, and they both tended to like adorn themselves with jewels, and especially the Vikings did. So that's what they were looking for, was all that jewelry and stuff, because when they conquered, they would add jewelry and stuff to their armor. So they were looking for that stuff, and they never really went into that in the movie.
It's funny
either.
because we're sitting here talking about this history, and I'm like, man, I just like want to play Assassin's Creed Valhalla.
Well, you need to watch the show Vikings, because that's what they did. That's
see?
what they did. They lived off of pillaging. So it was always about raiding. It was always they were never satisfied where they were. They wanted to go and raid. That was what gave them purpose. I'm going to go and kill these people and take their stuff. And that's what they did.
And that's the problem with this film, is it leaves you wondering.
Yeah.
And you want more from not only
it leaves you wanting to go and kill and take people's stuff.
Right.
I want to rape, pillage, and plunder.
The archaeologist that comes and takes over the dig, he says, like, these people were before the Vikings, so you would think that they would be more primitive and barbaric, but these people had culture, they had art, they had design,
they had coinage,
coinage,
like their own economy.
So, but then again, that's another history beat that would have been really interesting that they don't go anywhere with.
They completely overlook the importance of that explanation,
right?
And they kind of the action and the reaction is excited, but as far as the actual message, it falls flat with me, because we've already seen so much of the movie up to this point where the emotional beats just weren't there.
Yeah.
So every single time they tried to land one, they all felt the same.
And I mean, we're talking about a lot of the negative things. I would say I would just say
that's true.
One
movie
star.
that sucked.
But I will say, like, there is a reason, like, because I mean, the story was fine. It was dull, but it didn't do anything wrong. But on the technical side of the film, the set pieces, the cinematography, the acting, all of that was great. Like, I thought the actors did a great job.
Yeah,
the cinematography was definitely, I think, the best part of the film.
Yep.
It was gorgeous.
If it were going to get nominated for anything, it would be that.
And especially with like a lot of the English countryside set pieces, the cinematography really showed that off, and the different angles and shots they had that would just like help the scene. I was like, this is the part of the storytelling that I felt like I'm getting more out of the story from the angles you're setting up than from the characters. Which is cool, but at the same time sad, because you want both. I mean, you want to have the characters lead just as much as everything else in the film.
They got the time period right with a lot of the props and the set pieces.
Well,
I noticed kind of about halfway through the movie when Basil brings his telescope out finally, and they're all out in the yard looking at the moon through the telescope. And I was really expecting them to look through this telescope and it'd be this huge blown up amazing shot of the moon, crystal clear, high definition glass and all this stuff. But when they look through it, the moon is not much bigger than we see through one of our normal cameras or binoculars. It's foggy. There's a crack in the lens. Like they made it look like an old freaking telescope,
which is accurate.
And that was accurate. And I appreciate the small things like that.
I was going to say, if there's anything that I can appreciate from British films, I will say they nail, in terms of like historically accurate
Yeah.
costuming.
Oh, they're
production design.
Yes.
They're just spot on. I love watching British, like, I mean, that's one thing I love about The Crown. If you watch that, it's just like it's caked in so much of the richness of the story is from the production design, and they just nail it every time. And I honestly, I think a lot of people think about British in that sense of royalty. They think about the highfalutin class, the British accent,
or like dry comedies because they're well known for that as well. But I would say even some of like their like non like historic like okay, Doctor Who is not, it's fiction, but it does time travel. Even those set pieces, like I'm always impressed by how like accurate, like when they time travel to certain set pieces, how well they get that accurate. Because for shows like that, like you look at Star Trek, where they've had time travel episodes.
Yeah.
Like I remember watching the original Star Trek series when they went back to the like 1950s gangster era. It was a fun episode, but it was a fun episode, but it's not as accurate as
it's pretty
so.
bad.
I mean, it is. I will say yes, British production does do set pieces and design well like that. Yeah,
no, I completely agree. All right, guys. Well, 3 out of 4 stars for The Dig. It's worth a watch. It's worth one watch. I don't think you're going to get much more out of it after that. I think you'll probably, like we said, you'll be more intrigued to go look up the actual, history of it yourself. And hell, if they want to do a decent documentary down the road, I think that would be.
And that may have been. It just might not be a story that really lends itself well to a dramatic fictional telling without changing things that they may have not have been willing to change. So.
Agreed. All right, guys, we're going to move on to our headlines. Let's roll that big, beautiful bean footage. I forgot that's what we were supposed to do. Isn't that right?
Are we?
I forgot. Wasn't there like some kind of like action that we're supposed to have after the?
I just know you always say, "Let's roll that footage."
Big beautiful bean footage.
Right.
It's from Bush's baked beans.
Yeah, I know we tend to like dance during it sometimes, but yeah,
Sean really gets into it.
You don't ever see that.
Yeah.
Oh yeah, I go to the wide shot.
Yeah,
you do.
Yeah.
Okay.
I have an overlay.
You
So
can see us
it
through
keys
it.
us out,
Nice.
and then you can
Someone
see
doesn't
you.
watch our
You
own
can
show.
see us. I do. It's usually while I'm driving though.
Yeah.
So, it's like how everybody else
attention
feels.
to the
I just
road.
want to die.
Yeah.
No, I
Smalls.
That's right.
I enjoy your snapping over there, Sean.
All right. Well,
Getting into
sometimes
it.
I got the Roxbury.
Yeah, that looks good too.
Yeah.
All right.
What's
we
the
already talked
headlines?
about it a little bit, but let's at least dish out some of the Super Bowl trailers that we've enjoyed.
Yeah, I mean,
The
I'm
big
not
one,
saying
the
that-
big one
out.
of note. The big one of note. What did you say?
Which one's the big one
What's
to
the
note?
dish out some of the bowl.
Dish out.
I'm just.
Because I feel like
I
I'm
ain't gonna lie,
grasping at
it's
straws.
I
very- I
triple
feel like it's-
checked. I triple checked our lower third.
Yeah.
Because it kept tripping me up.
Well, I
and
hope
thought
I hope
had-
your lower third for Armie Hammer says Armie and not Arnie. Because
Yeah, it
your
does.
notes say Arnie.
Oh, it does. Well, then it corrected me. I swear. I put, it better have Armie
Arnie
on there.
Hammer.
Armie.
Not that it makes
I was
his
saying-
name any
yeah,
better.
You're talking about the big trailer, but I think that's kind of subjective.
Well, first off,
Because-
I thought that I was tripped up thinking the lower third was going to say Super Bowl.
well,
Super
Super
Bowl.
Bowl.
Super
Super
Bowl trailers.
Super Bowl.
Which some of them might have been. You know?
Ugh. I didn't get to see all of them. Unfortunately, I was at church,
I've watched them.
so I
Well,
only
I went back
I
later
saw the
and
second
watched.
half. Yeah, I didn't
Yeah.
see.
I didn't either. I saw the one with Edward Scissorhands, that
I-
commercial.
Oh, the
that
ad?
was hilarious.
It was funny except for the fact that it was the stupidest advertisement for a car.
Yes, it
True.
was.
I was like, this is a
True.
waste of
Self-driving
a
car.
good cameo.
I was, yeah, it was okay. Like I was okay with that one. The one that if we're going ads, the one that I liked the
To
best
start out.
was Wayne's World.
Oh yes.
That
I
was the best
actually have
ad.
not seen
if
that
they
one yet.
they need to
I-
do
That would-
another movie. I know it was in
Honest-
the
I know.
works, but
Honestly, yeah, if they could nail the personas as well as they have, like when they've done like the different presentations in this ad,
Yeah.
then yes, they need to do another movie because Mike Myers and especially Dana Carvey.
oh my god,
Dana Carvey,
When he does
he
it.
nailed it. He was so perfect as
Yeah.
Garth, and I'm like, that is just
Well, he needs to because
Gosh.
he hasn't done much. So I'm like, hey, man, come back.
let it do it because
go
it
for
was it was
pull a
good.
Bill and Ted. You know,
Yeah.
Bill and Ted Face the Music wasn't bad,
It was
but I bet you another Wayne's World would be
Oh
excellent.
yes, it was good. I hope. Hopefully they that comes out of production hell and they actually make it.
wow.
Well, here's the thing: the big trailer I was talking about was the series for Falcon
Okay.
and
the Winter Soldier.
Falcon and the Winter
Yeah.
Soldier.
That was the big one that I thought was enough of a tease that
that
it
one was well done.
especially with WandaVision being out right now. People are
I have
obviously
to be,
back into the Marvel universe
Yes.
of like, okay,
well,
we
and
didn't
it
get Black
releases-
Widow.
It basically releases right after WandaVision ends.
See, and that's the
Yeah.
crazy thing
Yeah.
is it literally is another series that
It's out
piggybacking
next
off
month, March.
That's
Yeah.
crazy.
I'll be honest. Like, I liked Baron Zemo as a villain in Civil War, but there were some things that I wanted to see more of just because of the comics. So to see him coming back and then to actually have like the mask from the comics, like that got me really excited when he finally pulled the thing on, and I'm like, that's
what I'm looking
Zemo
forward to.
right there.
Yeah.
Like I was really excited about because they made it look good.
Yeah.
It didn't look because I knew like with the movies the Russos were afraid of making it look too hokey to have like the purple but I thought it looked really well, the design in the trailer. So I was like, okay, they nailed it. Outside of that though, I am looking forward to the trailer as a whole. I did think it looked interesting.
Same here. Again, I think it's just people. It's weird because I think we had the Star Wars beat. We
Mhm.
were all talking about how after, especially the
sequel trilogy.
yeah, we were like, okay, they need to pause. And then of course Mandalorian comes out. We're kind of stoked about what's coming out of this universe.
It's about having
again.
the right people doing
Yeah.
these projects.
Yeah.
But,
That's really
again,
what it
with
is.
Yeah.
Marvel and not
When Ruin
having
Johnson
Black Widow,
does it doesn't pan out.
well, of course not. When he's subverting expectations all over the place.
Right.
But it's like when you actually have, we didn't have any Marvel movie release last year. We've still got a slew coming this year, but with
Maybe.
that also
they keep getting put.
true.
We'll see
we
what
hope.
happens.
We
yeah.
hope with the vaccines and theaters open.
At least one will release this year, I'm sure. Now, if
But
they get pushed
here's
back,
the thing: if they don't, we've got these great series that are filling in the gaps that are actually. I know we'll talk about more on WandaVision next week and the weeks to come with multimedia because next week we're wrapping up the Stan conversation. We're going to talk about WandaVision too because there's not much left to talk about with Stan.
I'm starting to agree.
Ezra Miller is. Woo.
yeah,
Wow.
get
Yeah,
there.
we'll get there. But no, I think that they are actually doing. I think it's been a good thing that we didn't have the movies released last year. I think WandaVision, and from what I've seen, they're doing things differently with the series.
Yeah.
That are actually deepening the story.
Giving them a different flavor,
Yep.
opening up the world even wider, which they
Yes.
need to do after Infinity War and Endgame. It's like, where do you go from there? Well,
Right.
now we have to branch out even more. So I do appreciate
Yeah.
that.
Well, they've got to kind of set like a path for the Eternals and all of that
Yes.
that's coming soon.
And I do. That's one thing I do appreciate is as a fan of like the comics and like all the little hints and Easter eggs they're throwing in WandaVision to kind of give you an idea. I do like where it seems like it's going, and then seeing Falcon and the Winter Soldier's trailer,
Yes.
and also knowing some of like those story beats from the comics. It's like it's interesting to see. Like I'm excited to see them two back, and plus Sharon Carter, who was in the movies, Emily Van Camp's
Yeah.
character. Like I'm
Yep.
excited that she's
yeah,
coming back.
again, and even Kat Dennings in WandaVision.
Yeah.
It's like seeing these smaller roles being more
Well, giving them
expanded
a
upon.
purpose. Yeah.
Yeah, and making them actually
Well, it
still,
fleshes the world out.
right.
Mhm.
It makes every single person seem like they matter. And I think that was our issue with like I remember seeing Age of Ultron, and then it was like thankfully I forget what the first movie after Age of Ultron was, but I remember it was the first time
Ant-Man.
It was at Ant-Man.
Yeah.
They addressed the destruction of like
Sokovia.
Sokovia, and they're just like, I'm like, thankfully, finally they, talk about the damage that happens to these cities.
Yeah.
But it's just the littlest things, and then all the fan favorites that they throw in there. Again, Marvel just knows how to create a good story and attract the fans, and even
World
new-
building.
new-
They
yeah,
know how to do world
they-
building, whereas
absolutely.
DC's still trying to figure out which universe is what. So,
Yeah.
Or which cut is the best.
yes. Hey, they released the look of Jared Leto's Joker.
Yeah.
Oh,
He
gosh.
he does look better. I don't
Yeah.
have any, but he does look better.
Of course, he looks better, but they just it's a ripoff.
Yeah,
all they
it
did was
is.
just
Heath
take
Ledger.
like
They
normal Joker.
they never had any intention of showing him in that likeness, and then
Never
yeah,
until after you had both Heath
Joker
Ledgers
was so good that
Yeah.
that's why that's just
Well, that's the thing. And that's what gets me is like I don't have a problem with the long hair. There's no comic book iteration of the Joker with long hair. It was a unique thing they did with Heath Ledger, and it was fine.
Well,
It
we got
worked.
some breaking news here, real
well,
quick.
Uh-oh.
Shia LaBeouf is no longer with the CAA following sexual battery claims.
Oh,
So we'll have
that
to-
surprise me.
It doesn't
Yeah, I
surprise me,
believe that.
but we'll have
We
to
can
look
mention
more
that
into
with Armie
that.
Hammer.
Yeah, we'll post that a little bit after
Yeah.
the show.
But yeah, after Heath Ledger then Walking Phoenix, now it's like, well, now we have to have Leto has to have the long hair. It's like, wow, it's not going to make him any better unless he acts better.
I mean, well, and that's
Well,
the
if he
one thing you
does,
can't
know,
change.
if he can change I mean, if he can be a good character like in the
Little Things?
The Little Things.
Yes.
Yeah, I mean,
yes.
I have no doubt that Jared Leto could be a good Joker. He just wasn't with David Ayer in Suicide Squad.
Right.
And I don't trust that Zack Snyder's going to do any
No.
better.
In fact, I will be very, very disappointed if he does not wipe his forehead and damage
and there's tattoos
is
under there.
underneath that.
Underneath there, yeah.
I just want to see it one more time.
But,
So bad.
but Falcon and the Winter Soldier wasn't the only trailer.
The other one that I was actually looking forward to, quite, just because he's been on a winning streak here,
Coming
is
to America?
no.
Oh, I'm excited about
I mean,
that
that was going to be later. I was going to bring that one.
I'm
up too.
excited about
I'm
that
excited
one.
about that one too.
I don't know how it's going to pan out, but I am going to see it.
Old
Yeah,
from
yeah.
M.
Oh,
Night Shyamalan.
yes.
That one was
Yeah.
one that I was like, look, after
He has
Split,
been on a bit of a
after,
comeback.
Glass, which I know
Well, even The Visit.
yeah,
that kinda started
yes,
his
that
return.
did. It
Yeah.
started his uphill
I
return.
still have not seen that movie.
Oh, it's a good one.
it's good.
I haven't seen it.
And it's actually got a serious role from who is Catherine Hahn, who's typically comedic, but she
Yes.
plays the mother, and she's good in it.
She is, yeah.
But no, I mean, the fact that I'm just glad to see him returning to, it's weird. He's settled into what he's good at, or at least not expecting. He's not just the twist guy anymore.
Yeah.
He just tells a decent story, and there could be or may not be a twist. It
And
just
that's fine.
depends, and that's a good thing. And this seems kind of more along the lines, I think, of what we've gotten with even like Jordan Peele recently in terms of Get Out and Us.
Well, and this is actually based off of, I think, a graphic novel.
That's
as
what I was
well.
just reading.
Oh, I
So
did
it's not
not-
even one of
okay.
his stories.
Yeah.
Wow.
So that I think that's
so it's
very
just
interesting.
his take on it.
So it's
That'd
another
be
After
even more
Earth.
interesting.
It's still like no, but it's still
Last Airbender.
what I like about it though is it still fits like the type of story M. Night Shyamalan would tell rather
Yes.
than doing like Last Airbender.
Yeah,
He
yeah.
found a
Yeah.
story that
Can he
actually
put his own
fits-
flavor
yes.
into
So,
it?
and I
Yeah.
think I think it does look good. I am interested.
I'm
in
much
seeing
more
that.
interested in seeing this from him after what we've seen from him in terms of getting back into
Recently,
the good
yeah.
graces of his
Yeah.
fans.
Yeah.
But yeah, and then of course Coming to
Coming to
America,
America.
but another one
Coming
that we saw.
to
America,
Yeah.
which everybody is calling it by the correct name, Coming to America 2.
Yes.
It's just they obviously
They put
are-
the two in between. Well, I mean,
Right.
it's a play on words.
Yeah.
I mean,
But Fast 9, F9.
here's my thing. Because we got a lot of trailers we'd already seen. And I don't get me wrong, but they showed new footage. But I'm like, I've been watching a trailer for Fast 9 for 2 years almost now.
I know.
So
It's
at
yeah,
this point,
It really has been almost that long.
Yeah.
So I'm like,
Jeez.
it's cool, but
That's one where
I watched the
here's the
trailer for
thing.
it in the Super Bowl last year. So.
Yeah, but you can't now. That one you can't.
Wow.
You can't like blame them.
No, it's
'cause
not
of
their
COVID.
It's not their fault.
So they've obviously. Here's the thing. They obviously got to generate steam, and I'm okay with that considering
They gotta keep people
nobody's going to
interested.
the theater.
Yeah.
So it's like, and that kind of leads us into our next headline, which is the fact that even Sundance is just had their
Streaming, yeah.
they just finished their I think it was 5 days instead of like 7. And the fact is they had a mostly virtual turnout across the U.S. They had theater and drive-in participation where it could,
Yeah.
where they
But I
could
think
get
it's
it
cool. I mean,
in to those places.
I would have loved to gone to a drive-in and watch, but their closest one I think is in LaGrange.
Well,
Yeah,
but the thing
who
is
knows if
that
that's
you
even
could
open.
stream it.
Yeah.
And it was like $15 for a pass, and they said they had 2.7 times more members join this year and actually view the films. I think they had about
What happened to
500,000.
Amazon's?
I never even heard that we were able to. How did we not?
I don't know.
Because I would have done that.
Yeah.
$15 to watch.
Well, I
would've
don't know if it was like for certain members.
Well,
of a certain
Amazon was
tier.
going to stream I forget what festival on their thing for a while, and then
They did. They
did, but it
quietly
kinda-
released
Yeah,
them.
it was
They
very.
they had
weird.
this
It
big
was under the
announcement, and
radar.
that's kind of how a lot of the festivals are typically for those. They're for one, they're mostly shopping.
They're-
Production
well, they're-
companies shopping
They're
to buy.
indie, obviously, but
Well, and production companies that may like Netflix that'll buy something up.
yeah,
and we'll
they'll buy,
see it in
buy
6
stuff
months.
up. Yeah,
But it's like we always do a terrible job of covering like Sundance, the
we need
Tribeca
to get
Film
better on that.
Festival,
'Cause some of that stuff is
Cannes.
yeah.
Well, they happen throughout the year, and there's probably a website that puts them all together. And every once in a while they pop up like this. It just why this caught my eye was because they did grow, and it was ultimately in a year where you had following the pandemic, and it was because they went virtual. And it's like,
Well, it
is this
gives-
just more of a sign that if you're going to get more audience participation and more audience engagement from something that you can view at home, is this just an inevitable nature that we're facing with, how hard it is to get the theaters back up and running. I mean, that's inevitably what we're looking at here.
Yeah.
And
we're,
it's like
we're all
if
just going to be couch potatoes.
Yeah,
We're going to be like
Wall-E.
Wall-E, exactly.
Yeah. So it's like, I mean, but if this is the way the film festivals go, I mean, hell, let alone production companies, of course they will. What, right?
Well, I mean, here's the thing. There's such, because of the nature of the festivals anyways, and having to like get a ticket to it, they're kind of exclusive anyways. It's hard to be able to go to those. So opening it up to streaming just gives that many more people access anyways.
Yeah.
So automatically, even without a year of COVID, like opening up to streaming is going to allow more people to view it. And then with COVID, where everybody's stuck at home and can't go to the theater, well, then you have just that many more that are now streaming. And I don't have a problem with companies that want to put things to streaming. I know that you have a lot of backlash from big production studios and theaters because theaters don't want to lose these movies.
Right.
And to me, it's hard because I don't want theaters to go anywhere anyways. And obviously something like Sundance isn't going to affect the theaters because they don't premiere in major theaters all across the nation anyways.
And to be fair, I mean, they partnered with, they still had like independent theaters and they had drive-ins that participated.
Yes, and that actually did give them a little bit of a boost. But I'm all for, doing streaming things. And that doesn't mean abandon the theaters, but, if a movie production company like Warner Brothers releasing things on HBO Max and theaters at the same time, I'm okay with that. I would prefer to go see it in the theater if I have the option. Like movies like Dune.
You know what? Yeah. Honestly, I could see it more of a trial period. Like where I'll see something on a streaming service, and if I really like it and it's worth my money, I'll go and contribute to seeing it in a theater, especially if it's an IMAX.
Well, and if it's something I'm really anticipating, like I said, Dune, like that's something I want to see in IMAX. I don't want to watch it at home on my TV the first time I see it. I want to see it in IMAX. Now, Mortal Kombat, I might be like, I might just stream that.
I mean,
one.
I'm glad Wonder Woman was streaming, and I didn't pay money to go see that in the theater.
Absolutely.
Yes.
It's so honestly, I probably think more people saw it because of that.
Unless you're going to be Disney and have select movies that you're just like, oh, this one's going to be free, but this one's going to be $30 for no reason.
That's
which that was another trailer that Raya and the Last Dragon.
Yeah.
And that's going to be one that's $30 on Disney Plus. Like, this is stupid.
No.
Stupid.
No, but no. I don't care if you're the producer of
get a
Tangled.
screener.
Screw that. Or Frozen. They're piggybacking off Frozen too much. Do not buy that for $30.
Oh, they will.
It's ridiculous.
They bought Mulan for $30.
I know. Yeah.
People are going, and I think Raya and the Last Dragon looks good. I want to see it, but I'm not paying $30 for it.
Yep.
All right, now moving on to our final headline. This is a weird one, guys. This is so weird.
I don't even know what to do with Armie Hammer right now. It's like,
well, he knows what to do with you based on his messages.
He says that it's all BS, though.
True. Now, granted, this is all alleged.
Here's the thing. Of course, anyone's going to say it's alleged, whether it isn't or it isn't, and this is where you have to kind of find out: are you guilty or not? You know?
Well, this is the crap thing about the Me Too movement. This is the negative side effect of it. The moment that you start to believe any woman at any cost is the moment that it becomes absurd depending on what the woman is accusing. And so
but when evidence stacks up sometimes, you have to wonder,
absolutely. But here's the thing. That's what's quote unquote alleged is the evidence. Now, granted, if these things were messaged, and I'll read a couple of them, the ones that have made the rounds on the internet.
I think it's like, who just, like, I'm not saying that they're real or fake, but if they are all fake accusations, like, who chose Armie Hammer? Who chose Armie Hammer? Usually you go after somebody with the bigger, I'm just saying.
No, I agree.
It's like, you want to get paid, you're going to go after, like, Brad Pitt.
He's a Trump supporter. I'm just kidding. I don't know.
That might be a legitimate case if that was true.
He's probably he'd be more pissed about that allegation than actually being accused of cannibalism.
Yeah. Now that's where I'm like, is that real? Like, I know abusing women,
it's just
maybe
bizarre. It's
saying
so
he's eating
weird.
people though.
Here's one of the first texts. One of the first ones was that's alleged. He said, "Need your help ASAP, kitten. You around? I'll phone you later." Yes. How may I be a help, daddy? Okay, here's the first thing.
Well, when you reply, yes, how may I be of help,
exactly.
daddy?
I'm like, there's a little bit.
That's kind of like you're going along with it, yeah.
Well, yeah.
And I was gonna say, like, regardless of, not to say how far he goes is acceptable.
No, definitely not.
But there is some definitely condoning here, and I have no doubt that some of these women were into the kinky crap that he was in. Obviously, there hence the attraction. And then he goes, "Oh my God, when you call me like it, I get so horny. I need to drink your blood. Why the distance? I am yours, Daddy. I will help you." Okay, if you
Oh my
reply to
God.
what he just said,
He said, "I
in
need to
that
drink your
manner,
blood," and you say,
Yeah.
"I'm yours."
and I will help you. That's freaking messed
You
up.
call
right
any
there.
man daddy that's not your daddy, that's asking for
I
it.
agree. I think it's a complete turnoff. I think it's sick.
Yeah.
I think that
weird.
just anytime it's like daddy. I'm like,
Yeah.
okay. The movie that we just what was it? Knock Knock.
Yes.
That was sick.
Oh,
It
yeah.
was so sick.
I know it was.
And
It's
he freaking
disturbing.
knows it. That's why it's
Yeah.
in the movie. It's disturbing.
Yeah.
All right, and then he continues, "I need you to rent us a place and set it up with a list of things I'll mail you about. Of course, where? I'm going to be so naughty and kinky with you there. Oh, the possibilities. Ha 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 ha." Okay, that was obviously the most tame one.
That was
This
very
one-
tame compared
Yeah.
to some of the others.
Yeah, this one is by far. I think this one is the one that made the rounds the most.
Yeah.
And it's really disturbing. I'm gonna edit out obviously some language because we didn't do that last week. So
Yeah.
here it is. "Oh my God, that just made me so hard, and it makes me confused as to why. Is that even possible? So hard thinking of holding your heart in my hand and controlling when it beats. I am 100% a cannibal. I want to eat you.
Oh my God.
F. That's scary to admit. I'll never admit that. I've never admitted that before. I've cut the heart out of a living animal before and eaten it while still warm." Like, what in the world? Like, okay, if this is
If these are true, then Armie Hammer
well, if
needs
these are even
serious
if
help.
these are even
Oh.
conspiratorial and made up, who the hell wrote that?
Yeah.
Okay.
If it was fake,
Okay.
you know.
Now, I mean, I'm not coming to the guy's defense, but it is a hunting tradition amongst a lot of hunters
Oh,
to
gosh, no.
if you kill an animal, the first kill, you do take a bite of either the liver or the heart. And
Is
it's a
this-
Native American thing.
Oh, this is like
But-
back in the Anglo-Saxon.
But no.
days.
People still do this. People still do this. I mean, watch the movie Red Dawn. Like it's like a hunting
Here's the
tradition
thing.
when they kill the deer.
So is
that's
he
what they
hunting
do.
women as his prey?
No, I think he said a living animal. He ate the heart out of, but that doesn't make him a cannibal.
No, but
It
he
just makes him a sick
he
bastard.
straight up called himself a cannibal.
That's true.
And he wants to hold her beating heart.
Right.
All I'm saying is, if it comes out that these were messaged, and I mean, obviously he's completely,
Right.
said these are BS. That there's no truth to this at all.
I mean,
I don't
why
know
can't
who
he
to
eat an
believe.
animal's heart? Leonardo DiCaprio ate a bison's liver.
Right.
Well,
I'm
he
just
did
saying.
it, yeah, in a roll.
He still ate it.
I know. There's a difference between doing it for a movie that's shot in a.
So if he ate an animal's heart while being filmed, it was okay.
Well, for one, I don't give a damn about the animal. PETA will jump all over him. But I mean, it's like, to me, just the thought alone of what he's talking
oh
about.
no, it's messed up.
is
Yes.
freaking disturbing as
Yes.
hell.
I was just being facetious, but no, it's
Yes.
if those are true.
Did this get a woman excited though?
well, and that, okay,
I don't know if she's calling him daddy.
here's the
so-
thing.
That's what I'm saying,
In this
like-
exchange, all of those texts were back to back, and none of them were replied to.
Oh,
That's the way the
So
message
as
screenshot.
soon as he
said.
started
She started
getting
it, but she couldn't finish it.
Well,
Well,
once he started talking about holding her heart in his hand, I guess that was
No,
it.
it was even before that. He just said, "Oh, that got me so hard," and then he just kept riddling off.
Then
things.
she didn't
and
get
she
anything
did not
back
respond. And now, granted, I don't know if she responded after that, and those messages haven't been shown.
Right.
But
Maybe she went through and deleted all of her responses.
well,
and
here,
then showed
okay,
it.
it could have. But here's a fair question too.
I'm not.
I have
defending
no
him either.
doubt
I'm
in
just
my
playing
mind
devil's advocate.
if Armie Hammer sent these things.
He's got some serious issues.
Well,
he needs
not
to
only
get
is it
taken
well,
care of.
okay.
deranged.
So we have sent texts to each other
Joke
that would blow Armie Hammer's texts out of the water.
I don't know.
I
I've
don't know
never
about
talked
that.
about holding someone's heart in my hand.
Yeah.
Not maybe that,
Eating.
but we've talked about other things, just being stupid.
we have.
If somebody saw those
Being
and took
stupid.
them out of the wrong context, it would be in the same boat we're in
Well,
right
and
now
that-
with
and
Armie
that's-
Hammer.
Okay, and that's what I'm saying. For one,
So
we
how do
don't-
we know
we
that
don't
these
know the
aren't just-
context.
We don't.
Yeah.
And that's what's being again. He's alleging that all of this is fake anyway.
Okay.
So that already
He's
gives
going
him,
that route.
Exactly.
He said it's all BS.
Exactly.
He's going
so
that
if
way.
there's a shred of evidence this is true,
Right.
he's deranged.
Right.
Yeah.
But I will say this too in his defense. I have no doubt that what gives him the liberty to say some of this is that I have to have the feeling that some of the women he's hooked up with or that he's gone out of his way to be with are also freaks,
Right.
and they've egged this on. I don't think they're completely innocent. I think there's something else going on here because I don't think any sane person, again, he may be insane. He may not be,
hides
all
it
there.
well.
But I do
Well,
think...
he rode crew, so. He's one of those types.
That's really a Harvard tradition. You eat the
Yeah.
heart out of a dead animal
Right,
after each
yeah.
match.
Yeah.
I mean, checkmate. But but no, I have to have a feeling that some of these women that he's hooked up with had to have egged this on or at least entertained this. And I'm not saying that.
Sure,
look,
Brandon.
I have no
blame
doubt.
the victim.
Blame the women.
No, exactly.
Yeah.
And
Yeah.
I have no doubt that there's like him being a rich, SOB.
Oh, yeah.
I'm sure
Absolutely handsome.
they've all got some
well-known.
messed up. I mean,
Look at Shia LaBeouf.
But isn't it kind of
Look at
weird that
frickin-
these text messages things, these come out just like a couple weeks after he came to defense of like all of the people on Reddit taking these rich
Oh, I didn't
hedge
know
funds?
that. I didn't know he
Oh yeah,
came to their defense.
yeah. He came out publicly
Well, and it's
said
interesting because like he also had just received
he
or
praised
he exited.
capitalism and everything.
He
and
exited the offer from Paramount Plus. He is already off of that. His
he
agent
said
dropped him.
he
this
needed to be
week.
with his kids and he couldn't do it, but they're saying it's because of this.
Well, he
His
did.
side,
He
there's a-
clarified. He
Oh, no,
said,
I know.
New Line is on board with me exiting. Obviously, he said, but I just couldn't think with all this going on.
Yeah.
I can go to the Dominican Republic with a 4-month-old and shoot.
Yes.
And I'm like, if
And
you,
I respect that.
I do respect.
But a lot
that.
of other people are saying that
It's a cop-out.
That he
Yeah.
got. Well, they're saying he got booted.
Booted,
but
yeah.
he's saying no
because he was doing
it's
something
mutual.
about what they do in a Godfather.
Yes.
The
He was
offer,
doing like a
but he
uh,
exited that.
Oh, okay.
He
Yeah.
exited it, and but that's the thing. They accepted his exiting of it, but then his agent just dropped him, and that's kind of what sparked all of this. Basically, it's the humdrum is like, okay, this has been going on for a while. Nothing truly has, I guess, developed in terms of what else has really been stated as true or false. But ultimately, after his agent's dropping him, it's kind of like, okay, is there something else that has been buried that has now come to their attention that's about to be a bombshell that just has completely destroyed all credibility he has, and now it's going to be blown up here pretty soon, and Armie Hammer's just going to be done away with. I mean, that's really what's in question here, and everybody's kind of like, that's why he's being brought back up in the headlines. It's not because of any new evidence other than, hey, there could be way worse coming, considering his agent just pushed him out the
Right.
door.
Yeah.
And, I mean, look.
Next, it's gonna be like pictures of him eating
Well, and that's
someone's heart.
No, that's our. Well, he already has sent like part of the messages was he sent lewd photos, obviously, to like of himself on Messenger to these other people, and it's like, and apparently those I guess have been verified.
Oh wow.
Well, I mean, if they could verify he was sending lewd photos, then there's some evidence against him for him to be able to say
Already
it's all
that
BS.
these could be messages, right?
Yeah.
And I don't know what his defense is. He obviously is completely saying it's absolutely false. It could be a smear campaign. Who knows for what reason? It could be vengeful.
Sometimes people just want to get paid.
Yeah. That
Wow.
was such a mean.
That
That
was-
was such a thug
Sometimes
life
people just
moment.
want to get paid.
He's like, some people just want to get paid.
It's true.
That was it. I love
And sometimes you do have weirdos. You do have your Armie Hammers if he is guilty. You do have your Shia LaBeoufs. You have your Kevin
Yeah.
Spaceys. So I
yes.
mean, you know.
Oh yeah. No, I have no doubt Kevin
You-
Spacey's guilty.
Oh yeah.
That dude's messed up.
Well, Harvey Weinstein.
He ate
I
more
mean,
than a beating heart. I tell you.
Yeah, he did.
I'm sure Harvey Weinstein's done some messed up more than what we heard about.
Yeah.
He
And
got his though.
I just think it's funny that it's like all of a sudden now Hollywood's morally correct. Like now they're all of a sudden they care. It's like
Yeah.
Only when
bull
someone
crap.
only when someone
No,
gets
they don't.
Here's like only when someone gets caught.
Yes.
Yes,
For
when
everyone,
someone gets
for
caught.
everyone that gets caught, I guarantee you, there's still 5 others that are still doing the same.
Oh,
crazy
I hope they don't
stuff.
tell on me.
Yeah.
Yep.
I mean,
Yeah.
it's so stupid. It's I mean,
It's
they're
like you
just
don't get told until you
ridiculous.
fall out of their graces. Then they're like, you know what? We're just gonna let everybody know all the weird stuff you're doing.
Yep.
Ugh.
Not
All
Chris
right,
Pratt though.
just sick.
He's exempt. He's not doing anything wrong.
No, they're just trashing him for.
What
for
if
being
Chris
moral.
Pratt was a cannibal?
I'm sure he's done it because he's a hunter. I bet he's.
That's
eaten-
not being a cannibal.
I bet he's
though.
eaten a.
You can
a
eat an animal's
out of
heart,
an
and you're not
animal.
a cannibal.
Yeah.
A cannibal is specifically a human, though.
I know that.
If he was a cannibal,
I think he
what
was
would you
trying
do?
to be sexy and it wasn't.
What?
I think he was trying to make a sensual thing out of that. Like, I'm just so yummy. I want to eat you up. Like that doesn't mean he's a
Oh, you're
freaking
talking about
cannibal.
Armie Hammer.
Yeah, I'm just
Okay.
saying. I think he was trying to convey
But
something different
The fact
than
that
what
he did say, I'm
it's
100%
effed up.
a cannibal.
Right,
I
but
can't believe I said that. I've never admitted that to anyone.
he was.
It's like he's literally pointing a gun at the cop and saying, "Shoot me."
I just all I can
Shoot
think
me.
of right now is I can think of James freaking Franco in the interview, and he's just going, "What? What? Did Armie Hammer just say he was a cannibal? Oh my God! Ask him again. Did Eminem just say he was gay? Oh my God! I love that.
I don't care a lot for Seth Rogen, but if we could get more Seth
Yeah.
Rogen, James Franco duo movies,
Yes.
because they're great together.
Armie Hammer
That
came out
would-
as a cannibal on our show. Oh my God!
Now, dude, I would entertain that.
Oh.
Army, if you're out there, you're listening, call in, man.
Oh yeah.
Shoot us a message. We'd love
Oh
it.
yeah. We'll eat a
RM
heart with
Podcast
you.
at redmoonproductions.com. We will love to have you
We'll
on the
sit
show.
down and we'll eat a heart with
you
you.
you could defend yourself on this show.
Yeah.
And we may just we may crack open the brains. Who knows? All right, guys. I think it's ready time to move on to our unique weekly segment. Are we ready to do that?
Yeah.
I am
do
now.
that. All right. Let's roll that open. I always want to be like snakes, slithers. I'm gonna that's gonna be like parcel tongue. I'm gonna have like a secret word every
He's
week.
just like no.
What do you mean?
He
no?
gave the look, but he didn't say the word.
I'm just
But he was
waiting.
just like no.
What are you waiting for?
for the segment to
Devices.
It just started. The open began.
Oh God.
We're,
My
your
phone's all over.
camera's
begin.
way off.
Yeah, it's there. It is.
Okay. Yeah, there you go.
better.
That's
It's
that's
Wow.
perfect. That's it
Better
right there.
now. Right
That's
there.
beautiful. I think that's great.
What are we
Uh,
talking about again? Cigars?
Cigars. We're back to the good old Vice
Yeah,
days.
yeah. What about cigars?
That was our
How
first
do you
Vices segment, wasn't it?
best?
What
Yeah.
about cigars? Yeah.
It-
Yeah.
Well, it was
Like
like
sure, wasn't it?
I think what's your favorite cigar was our first.
Yeah.
Ah.
I think
Yeah.
that was like our first Vice.
Yeah.
Mm.
Yeah.
That's so long ago, guys.
Yeah.
I don't even know when that was. When we started the unique weekly segment.
Wow.
It was all about just getting to know us, you know.
Huh.
One on one. You know. You only get to know us so much by talking about cannibalism
We're
the movies.
100% cigar smokers.
and authentic.
Yeah.
Yeah. It's like Cobra Kai. We lick the end of that cigar. you
I'm
know?
going to lick the end of that and bite it off.
So that is the question. How do you best enjoy a cigar?
Not the way John Kreese does, because that I don't think anybody has ever done that.
No, I think that's weird.
I don't even know what y'all are talking about.
Oh, you never watched? You haven't watched Cobra Kai?
Oh.
Sorry.
Nope.
Okay.
Spoiler alert.
I haven't seen it yet.
Okay, no more
Okay.
talking about that. If you haven't seen it out there, we know you want to eat your heart out right now.
I don't know. Brandon used to chew on the end of his cigars.
Well,
so-
okay, and you know why? I kind of learned it from a video game hero
character.
that I wanted
Sid?
to be. No, Sid.
From Final Fantasy. He always had
No,
a cigar. in
he
his
had like
mouth.
a cigarette though, like with
That's
one of
true.
those like
He had a-
fancy.
Yeah, yeah.
And then in like Kingdom Hearts, he had hay because I guess cigarettes were just not
Dis-
for a
they
kid's
couldn't-
game.
You couldn't put it
Yeah,
down in Disney
so it's like,
game.
oh, we'll give him
promoted
some hay.
tobacco use.
Yeah,
yeah.
can't do that.
Apple must have had
Yeah.
a hand in that one.
Yeah.
They did, but no, I
Disney said no.
yeah, Disney was like,
It's
can't
like,
have that.
Can't, yeah. We
You
can't
can
have
chew
Aladdin
on
in
the.
this
You can
guy.
chew on an unlit cigar.
No, no, they gave him.
No,
they gave
because-
him a toothpick. I think actually.
It might
I
have
think is
been.
what it was. I don't
I
remember.
can't
No,
remember. I
I'm
thought it
saying
was
it's
piece-
okay to chew on the end of a cigar as long as it's not lit.
Well, no, you still you can get jaw cancer just having the tobacco get into you. I mean,
No,
it'd be
no,
like
no,
chewing
I'm not talking
tobacco.
about whether it's
Yeah.
good for you or
Talk
not.
about in
Oh,
film.
I'm just saying
I
it's
got you. Yeah,
normal.
yeah.
You can chew on a cigar. That's not.
Yeah, that'd be
That's not otherworldly
that's
or nothing
that's
like
a
that.
strong PG-13.
Yeah.
Yeah, strong on the verge of R.
Yeah.
No, I'm just
Yeah.
talking about in real life.
In real life.
You as a person, Brandon.
You chewed on.
You
the
I
end of
chewed
the
on a
did,
cigar,
and I
that's
stopped
okay.
because it's pretty gross. I don't like it. I just did it because, for one, I really
looked cool.
I said,
Well,
why'd you
and
do
I-
it if you didn't like it?
because I thought it was cool. Solid Snake did it, and I thought,
I
okay,
don't remember him chewing on the end
Schwarzenegger
of his
chews on a
cigar.
cigar.
who was the other? There is another movie character that chews on the end of theirs.
Sergeant
Don't they?
Slaughter chewed on the end of his cigar,
Did
and
he?
GI Joe.
No, that's not the one I'm thinking of. There was another one,
Oh.
and they always like, yeah, they
Not
just
Sergeant Slaughter. Shit, that's a wrestler.
no, yeah, yeah, that is.
What
a
was the
wrestler.
sergeant in GI Joe? His name was Sergeant Slaughter too, wasn't it?
I don't know.
I can't
Yeah.
remember.
I don't remember.
Maybe
Pretty
it
sure.
was. It
I
would.
remember
It
Duke and Snake Eyes.
Duke and Snake Eyes and Lady J.
Yeah.
It would not. it would not faze me if,
Okay.
if WWF copied off.
Are you thinking about maybe Clint Eastwood? I don't remember him chewing on his cigars,
Clint
but he used to
Eastwood
always
chews
keep a
on
cigarette.
Banditos.
Yeah, he
is
had
what
the
chews on.
little.
But all I know is I thought, here's the thing. Really,
Right.
what it was I would used to kind of I wouldn't lick the end, but I would it would get real wet with my saliva after smoking it for a while.
Yeah.
I'm gonna text
so it
this
was-
to somebody because this is getting hot.
Whoa.
Yeah.
Now delete yours.
Talk
so it
about
makes
licking
it look-
ends and
Licking the ends and
things
yeah,
getting wet. Yeah.
And I love that V cut. You know.
Stop it.
Woo.
I mean,
Little hot
I
and
best
heavy.
enjoy my cigar by cutting the end,
Mm-hmm.
lighting the other end.
See, okay, how do you cut
And
the end
puffing.
though? I just talked about the V cut. Do you like a
Hey.
straight cut?
I like the V
I like
cut.
them all.
I like the V cut.
I think it's different for the kind of cigar
Yes,
you're smoking.
I mean,
True.
honest. Like some I punch, some I do the V cut.
Actually,
some I cut the end
I
off.
like the V cut for the torpedoes. I like a
Yes.
hole punch for most everything else. My
Really?
Churchills.
I've
yeah.
kind of found that
Okay.
myself. I like the torpedoes to do a V cut, but then for everything else, I do use like the.
The
See, I
hole?
like to
Yeah.
cut. I like to cut the end off the V cut. I mean the torpedo.
Well, see, that's another thing is depending on how far down you go to cut.
Mm-hmm.
It's like I like to leave enough to where it pulls the smoke through a smaller opening,
Mm-hmm.
kind of like what the hole punch does.
Mhm.
But it's like some people I've seen they cut off straight tip,
Yeah.
and it's literally the same on the other
Well, you're,
end. And
you're
I'm
not
just
really
like, well,
supposed to go past the cap because then
Yeah.
it unravels.
Yeah.
But
See?
some people do, and then you get the stuff all in your mouth, and I don't like that. I don't
John
go past
Kreese,
the cap.
he goes way past the cap.
Yep. Well, I was bringing it up without. I was
Apparently,
trying
it
not
sounds
to
like he just bites it right off. So I don't know.
that.
No.
Well, and I thought that was
Some people, I
they-
don't, but
Yeah.
I mean,
that was what I learned from Snake. I tried to do it and I totally
Nope.
broke his.
You know the
cigar.
tear
one-
a cigar all up
Yep.
doing that.
yep. You know the ones that you buy? That's the ones with the little knot on
Pigtail.
the end. Yeah, the
They have a
pigtail.
pigtail.
You can
That's
bite
what
those
they-
off.
Yes, you're supposed
Yeah.
to do those. Yeah.
Yep.
Yep.
Okay. I like my cigar with a sweet drink, whether
Oh.
it be coffee with sugar or a sweet tea or even a Coke or
Actually,
something
a
like
cigar with
that.
sweet tea is good.
A cigar with something sweet for me just really does it.
I do like it with the hard liquor.
Yeah, see,
I
I,
like
don't
bourbon.
like it. A lot of
No,
people
yeah.
like it with scotch or bourbon.
I like bourbon.
I like it with a bourbon.
It's
I
an
also
acquired taste, but I do like it with
Yeah.
it.
I say I don't care so much with like a Coke, but I mean I will say have smoked a cigar with bourbon and I like it with tea or lemonade.
I haven't tried lemonade.
Lemonade
good.
might be good,
Yeah.
especially in the summertime.
Yeah.
That's good.
That'd be a
Yes.
good one.
Sitting
like,
out,
well,
sitting
okay,
there hanging out in the
I
hammock with a
also-
cigar and lemonade.
I
Yes,
don't
good
like
times.
smoking a cigar when it's too hot.
No,
I don't like
I
that.
agree.
Okay.
I agree.
I see some
it's like
people
90 degrees out. I'm like, no.
Mhm.
Yeah, no, but I've seen people like they'll mow the grass and they'll smoke a cigar.
Oh,
Now, if I had a
do.
riding
when I'm on
lawnmower,
the riding lawnmower,
that's
yeah.
different because at least you're not pushing the. It's not
Yep.
too much work going on. But then if you're,
I like it to be cool out.
yeah, I was like, I gotta have a nice breeze. It can't be a dead heat.
If it's
I'm
now,
not gonna enjoy
now,
that.
if I can float in my pool,
There you go.
because I've done that, floated in the pool when it's hot with a
I'll
cigar.
tell you right now,
And that's some good stuff right there,
I
too.
just got the winner. I just
Mm.
got the winner. There ain't nothing better, and I say this every year when we go to the lake.
yeah.
There's nothing better than sitting on the lake in an inner tube, smoking a cigar.
Yeah.
It is the best.
Smoking a
greatest
cigar on the
feeling.
water is amazing.
Is fantastic,
Mm-hmm.
and it's just
Smoke on the water.
ooh, oh, get me ready for the
Good
lake.
stuff. Good
Oh,
stuff.
oh,
Oh,
goodness.
yeah.
Woo! All right, getting a little hot and bothered. Talking about I had my pipe tonight. I didn't have a cigar tonight. I had
Yeah.
my pipe.
I had a cigar for the first time in a while, and it got me lit.
yeah,
Yeah, I was
get your
trying-
buzz. You
I
get
had
a
a
good
buzz.
cigar.
It was.
People don't understand. It's like look, cigars can give you that kind of buzz.
I like Neil's. He said a cigar is best enjoyed with friends.
Ooh, that's a good one.
That's true.
That is very good.
That's true.
I would agree.
I mean, every now and then I'll get to have one alone, but
It's
yeah,
not the
it's
same,
way
man.
better
Yeah.
when you're sitting
It-
around with some buds.
It's with company.
Yeah.
It
Mhm.
definitely is.
It's
It,
definitely
it
a
totally
social
makes
thing.
it better.
Yeah.
Absolutely.
Yep.
Well, and our buddy Boston Neil.
Boston Neil.
Boston Neil.
That's your
Boston
name
Neil.
now. Boston
hey,
Neil.
Hey, his Instagram handle is Hey, I'm in Boston. I just love
Yeah.
that. That's great. But I will say his, that fine joint up there,
Cigar.
the cigar lounge.
Shop, not a
yeah,
joint.
yeah, yeah,
You
yeah.
said
Yeah.
joint, and I'm like, wait a
Oh
minute.
yeah,
what
I
are we
forgot.
talking
It
about
is.
smoking
It
now?
is legal up there.
That's true.
Not that joint. It's the cigar lounge that we went to. It starts with an S. I always forget the name.
Sergio's.
No,
I just made that up.
I was like, that is definitely not it.
It's not. It's
But
definitely
Sergio's.
not.
But well, and even Sean, you found one in was it
in Alabama.
Alabama?
Yeah, really nice place.
Yeah.
there's a
just
nice one right
fantastic.
across the. We can't in Louisville because there's a smoking ban. Yeah, but there is a nice one
Totalitarian.
right across the river. in Indiana.
I forget what it's called too. Man, we need to
Match.
rep these small.
Well, there's two,
Match?
there's Match, which is one, and then the other one is just I think just
Love
the cigar
telling the
lounge,
story. The
so.
first time we go in there is me, you, Ty. I think Jacob
Neil.
and Neil.
Neil.
Yeah.
No, I don't
And-
think Jacob was with. I think
No,
it
it
was
was
just me,
just
Ty, and Neil.
and the guy in the corner. He's like, "These ain't no bubblegum cigars."
Well, we were
We were still in college.
yeah, I, was
We
just,
were
I thought
college
so.
age.
Yeah, we were college.
Yeah.
So
We
we were
looked
younger
young.
Yeah.
guys walking into cigar lounge, and this guy, he was a much older gentleman.
But
I think-
here's the other thing though that I like too about
Neil said the
smoking
place in
cigars.
Boston is Stanza de Cigarri.
Stanza, that's
Ooh,
it.
Stanza.
Yeah,
It's in the North End. Fantastic.
Yes, it's funny though because I always dislike people like that. Like me, if someone's interested in cigars, like I'm excited. I want to.
That's what I was gonna say.
And he was someone that annoyed me because it's like I hate like people who are snobs about things they like. 'Cause
Yeah.
it's like
Yeah.
you would think if you like it, you would want more people to enjoy it.
and that's kind of
Yeah.
what
like
I,
why
yeah.
be a snob about it?
that was
Yeah.
kind of what I wanted to say about the topic in general. Is it's like really,
There's
Yep.
no wrong way to
No.
smoke a as long as you enjoy it.
It's all
Exactly.
preference.
you
yeah.
know.
yeah, it's also
If you like to rip it in half and shove it up your nose, I mean, I don't think that's fun, but go for it.
Yeah.
That's a wrong way.
Well, yeah.
If they enjoy it.
I mean,
Hey, we got people spraying glue in their hair, so like,
What?
you didn't hear that story?
No, this
This
is a
woman's try-
totally. Is
this-
this a Vice topic?
No, there's a woman trying to sue. Okay,
Sean's like, what
you know the
this?
Gorilla Glue, like
Yeah.
they make super glue now too, not just the Gorilla one.
Oh,
but
yeah.
but
gosh.
this woman ran out of hairspray, so she tried to water down Gorilla Super Glue and use it as hairspray. Ruined her hair. Everything was stuck, and now she wants to sue Gorilla Glue, and they're like, no, you can't.
it says on the bottle,
Yeah.
like,
There's,
yeah,
there's
don't
all,
put it on your
there's all
body.
there's
Have
all
you
kinds
ever
of
used
great
that crap?
There's all kinds of
There's
great
no
memes about
way
it.
you would get that out of your hair.
There are all kinds of great memes about it now. You got to Google it because they're just like, yeah, it's Gorilla Glue. It's not meant to be put in your hair. Who
You
thought?
know, I'm telling you, this is why the
I
lawsuit.
guess she's thinking, extra strength hairspray. If I water down the super glue, it'll work. No, it
Well,
won't work.
hey, level 10 gel and pomade. I should know.
Level 10.
Yeah.
Well,
you
it's
just-
not Gorilla Glue.
Mhm.
It's
wasn't
not
gor-
Gorilla
well,
Glue.
and that's what I needed.
People like that are dumb. That's like the person that's like sued McDonald's
Well,
for
that's
the hot
what
coffee.
no, but see, that's the
Yeah.
problem with these damn lawsuits is they set the precedent for people to be stupid.
Yeah.
Yeah.
And this is the reason why we need to send them home and say, no, you're just an idiot.
We need to send them to California.
That's true. Make it another country.
That's right.
I completely agree.
Annex it completely.
Yep.
That's right.
Hmm.
I don't
Just
know.
waiting for the big
We've got
one.
the technology. We can
We shoulda-
start a
We should have let Lex Luthor break it off into the
Right.
ocean.
I was
like
gonna
he
say we
wanted.
can start we can
Alcatraz
start
too.
an earthquake on that fault line. We've got the technology.
Oh, yeah.
Let's
we
just
do.
get it going quick.
Yeah, we'll just
Let's
call.
just start it.
We'll just fire up the harp. And,
Let's just
let
jumpstart
them
that
do it.
We're gonna
process.
cancel it for this right now, right off the bat.
Conspiracy
They're
theories,
They're talking
everything.
about
Fake
destroying
news.
California.
Fake news.
Lawsuit on our
We don't
hands.
want to destroy it. We just want it to be separate.
Yeah, there's nothing
Yeah,
wrong with
you
that.
know.
Right.
Separate
I mean,
but
Texas
equal.
wants it every day of the week.
Separate but equal,
What's
right?
wrong with us wanting it?
I mean, everybody wants that these days. Gosh, modern day segregation. It's sad,
Yep.
people. All right, email us, rmpodcast@redmoonproductions.com. Yeah, we're ranting about everything. We get to the end of the show and we spout off because you know what?
It's like we're at the end. Who gives a crap?
We care. We care about you and your opinions.
yeah. How do you
That's-
enjoy a cigar?
Yeah, tell us. RM Podcast, redmoonproductions.com.
Not at all. That's what most people say. Not
yeah,
at all.
We don't care. We tuned out like half hour ago. That's probably what they're saying.
They're probably like, show us the dog again.
They probably
That was
will.
the best part of the show.
I'm gonna honestly, I'll find a way to get her in every show. Just if it boosts views, I'll do it. I'll set her
To put it in
beside
the title. You have to put it in the title on YouTube,
me.
like
I'll put her
puppy.
picture up like on the
Yep.
thumbnail. I'll just-
movie review, Hollywood news, and a puppy,
and a puppy.
and that's what'll get it.
Oh, if we do like Hollywood news by a puppy,
Ooh,
that would be a good one. Maybe that's what we
voice
need
over
to do.
the dog. That would
And
be.
just have the picture of the dog voicing the in puppy language.
If you could voice over the dog, what would it sound like?
Which dog?
His dog. Remember, it's a female. Remember.
Oh man, see, I
And her
haven't gotten
name
enough
is- her
of
name is
personality for her yet.
Edith.
Hmm.
Call her Edie, but
Well,
Edith
see if
von
I hear
Bishop.
Edith, I'm gonna think of like
Edith von
All in
Velma
the
Bishop
Family
Peebles.
is what I'm gonna think of, and I don't think that's her personality. It's like Archie. It's like she's not. That's not
Not
her.
yet. Not
That's
yet.
not her.
She doesn't. She's young,
I gotta get a personality first.
and she may
before I
not be.
know.
She may be an old soul. We don't know.
She might be.
We'll see.
Hmm.
She is out down
Yeah,
there.
that's good.
That's good.
That's a good
yeah.
thing. I'm
She's
gonna
gonna be
go
wound
to the
up.
wide shot here, and
It's
she's
okay.
just out. We're wrapping things
Just,
up.
you can
here.
kick her around
Look
the
at her down
yard
there.
later.
She'd better pee. If she pees
You
and
said
poops
she
tonight,
peed outside.
she did. But I want her to go again because she just ate, and I hope she poops again, and I'll be happy. If she does that, I can sleep sound. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. That's right. Follow us on social, all of our social media right there at the bottom of your screen. Red Moon Tweet, Red Moon Book, Red Moon Picks. Search for Red Moon Productions on YouTube. Click that bell icon, subscribe, get all the notifications. Just please follow us. Give us some love. We love you guys. We do this show every week for you all. And for ourselves. Alrighty, guys, that's going to do it for this episode of the Red Moon Podcast. I am one of your hosts, Brandon Davidson, alongside our normal new host,
Sean Sebastian.
And
Tridgy Ears, Franklin, Bout, Fender, Snip, Bottle, Frim, Pebbles, Race, Stricken, Grog Crabs.
nailed it.
We hope you enjoyed this week's episode. For more reviews, previous podcast shows, and everything Red Moon, visit our website, redmoonproductions.com. You can also like us on Facebook or follow us on Twitter by searching for Red Moon Productions, LLC. We'll see you at the movies.